From a really young age, we're all told the same thing. Academic success is the key to a good life. Just study hard, get those top marks, and boom, your future is set. But what if that whole promise is built on a flawed system? A system that for millions of students in India feels less like a path forward and more like a trap. Today, we're going to dig into why.
Okay, so let's break this down. First, we'll define what this trap actually is. Then we'll get into the engine that really drives it, this relentless race of rote learning. After that, we'll look at the huge human cost of all this competition, the coaching industry that's literally built on it, and finally, we're going to challenge the very goal the whole system is aiming for.
And really, it all boils down to this one question, doesn't it? With all the stress, all the sacrifice, all those sleepless nights, is any of it actually worth it in the end? Let's find out. To even begin to answer that, we first have to get a handle on the trap itself. And it's not just one single problem. It's this whole tangle of systemic issues that all feed into each other. So here's the core of it. Students are putting in an absolutely heroic amount of effort, but they're basically running on a hamster wheel. The system is designed in a way that just creates this vicious cycle of stress, and all that hard work, well, it doesn't even guarantee a successful outcome. It just leaves millions feeling completely trapped. Think of the trap as having 5 big interconnected parts. It all starts with this heavy focus on memorization instead of real understanding. That fuels a brutal exam-obsessed competition, which, no surprise, takes a serious toll on mental health. This pressure then feeds a massive coaching industry, and the whole thing is aimed at a goal that's kind of outdated, this idea that a degree automatically gets you a job. Let's start with that first piece. Let's start right at the foundation. How students are actually learning. The whole system is pretty much built on rote memorization. It's not about truly understanding why something works. It's about being able to repeat it perfectly when that exam paper lands on your desk. And just look at the trade-off here. Rote learning is a shortcut to getting high marks on a test, sure, but it completely kills creativity. On the other hand, conceptual understanding, that's what builds critical thinking and problem-solving skills. The stuff that actually matters in the real world. And yet, the entire system is built to reward the shortcut. So, what happens when exam marks are the only thing that matters? Well, it leads to this absolutely brutal competition. Education stops being about growing as a person and just turns into a relentless, high-stakes race to the top. And this isn't just a high school problem, not at all. This race for results, it starts when kids are young, and it just gets more and more intense every single year. It creates this environment where students feel like they are constantly being ranked and measured against each other every step of the way. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? It's a race where things like creativity and personal growth aren't just ignored. They're actually seen as getting in the way of getting the highest score. And the fallout from this is, well, it's predictable and it's devastating. The main results of this constant pressure aren't smarter kids, they're personal struggles. We're seeing widespread stress, anxiety, and serious mental health crises becoming the norm for so many students. Now, wherever you find intense pressure, a market usually pops up to sell a solution. And that brings us to the massive coaching industry, a multi-billion-dollar enterprise built entirely on the anxieties baked into this educational system. This is the cycle that so many families get caught in. It starts with all this pressure from school. That pressure pushes students into coaching centers. These centers then narrow the focus even more, teaching only what's needed to pass one specific exam. And the result? An enormous financial and emotional burden on the entire family, locking them right into this loop. So, after all the memorizing, all the competition, the coaching, the stress, what's it all for? This brings us to the final and maybe the most crucial piece of the trap. An outdated belief about what education is even supposed to do. For generations, the promise was simple. Get a good degree, you'll get a good job. But that social contract, it's breaking down. The world of work is changing way faster than the education system is, and the skills being taught just aren't aligned with the skills that are actually in demand anymore. And right here, this is the fundamental mismatch. The system is still basically an assembly line for workers who can follow instructions. But the modern world, it doesn't need more assembly line workers. It needs creative thinkers, innovators, and problem solvers who can build the future, not just fit into the past. So when you combine all of it, the rote learning, the cutthroat competition, and this totally obsolete goal, you don't unlock potential, you limit it. You end up creating a cycle that stifles real growth, both for individuals and for the country as a whole. You trap brilliant minds in a system that was built for a world that honestly just doesn't exist anymore. And that leaves us with one final, really crucial question. If this exhausting, stressful race isn't really about getting a job anymore, then what is the point of education? What should we be striving for instead?